Good morning, you guys. Everybody ready to start? My name is Gerry Cvitanovich, Dr. Gerry Cvitanovich. I'm the Jefferson Parish Coroner. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Dana Trosclair and Dr. Von Vogue. They are two of our board-certified forensic pathologists. All three of us were in attendance on Saturday morning at the autopsy. And that's what we're here for today, is to release preliminary results and impressions regarding the autopsy of Keevan Robinson. Before proceeding, I want to make an important point. Our examination and our investigation at this point are not complete. Okay, we still have a lot of work to do, investigative work. We still have microscopic examination of slides that need to be prepared and examined. And we also have toxicology. That process is going to take weeks, not days. Okay? That said, I don't want to delay disclosure regarding the direction in which we're heading from Mr. Robinson's family, the Sheriff's Department, or the media. And speaking of Mr. Robinson's family, I want to make the point that I did meet with his mother this morning to share the results with her prior to releasing anything to the media and the public. So our initial autopsy findings, and I'm going to be brief, okay, reveal significant traumatic injuries to the neck, okay, the soft tissue of the neck. These findings are consistent with compressional asphyxia, okay, and we're confident that at the end of our process that is going to be the cause of death. Regarding manner of death, at this point, manner of death is homicide. I want to take a minute to explain the forensic definition of homicide as opposed to, there's a legal definition as well. The forensic definition of homicide is death that's caused by the actions of another. And that's the impression that we have at this point. Now, I'm not going to release any additional autopsy findings for now until our examination is complete. And I'm going to go ahead now and turn it over to Sheriff Lipinto.
Thank you, Dr. Cvitanovich. So we all know on Thursday, our narcotics group was involved in an investigation involving the arrest and then subsequent death of Keevan Robinson. We know at that moment that they used force during that arrest in order to make the arrest and effect the arrest after a pursuit and after a foot chase. On Saturday, May 12th, Dr. Cvitanovich advised me of these initial findings that he's just released. Our JPSO Homicide Division was called back in on Saturday, along with all four of the detectives involved in this incident in order to cooperate in a criminal investigation. That's what we do as part of any type of homicide investigation. Officers were read their rights. They cooperated. They gave statements. I understand that this investigation will be under a microscope. Understand it fully. I made the phone call on Saturday to contact Colonel Reeds with the Louisiana State Police. I asked for his office to also come in to do a joint investigation with us. Never can have too many sets of eyes to make sure we're doing it properly. I have every faith in the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office to do their job and do it correctly. I know they have the expertise because it's what they do every day. But I also understand that an independent set of eyes is something that's appropriate in a case like this. This investigation is just beginning. You have this office, you'll have the state police, you'll have the FBI, Civil Rights Task Force, which I also notified on Saturday and spoke with them yesterday also. They'll look into this matter, take all the statements, review the evidence from the final autopsy report to make any determinations that are necessary. That's what the job is supposed to happen. And all of those agencies have been notified and are cooperating. As I said, this investigation is continuing. We ask any members of the public that may have information in this matter, call us, give us the information. Let us take your statement. 504-364-5300. If you have information into this incident, we'd like to know about it. I'm also departing from another. I have all of our detectives in this matter. They all will be reassigned to administrative duty at this point in time. They're being reassigned until this investigation can be completed. We understand that they have a job to do, and sometimes that job is difficult, by all means. But under these circumstances, we believe it's appropriate for them to be on administrative duty until the conclusion of the investigation is complete. JPSO understands its obligations to the citizens of Jefferson Parish, and we take that obligation very seriously. We'll continue with this investigation jointly with the state police, and then when that investigation is complete, we'll release its findings. With that, I'll take any questions.
How many detectives were reassigned?
There are 4 detectives that are reassigned.
They were narcotics detectives?
They were.
Can you release their names?
I'm not releasing the names at this time, Ramon, but I'll probably later in the week.
Were the first?
Sheriff, where did the notion of the young man dying of asthma come from?
Well, we knew he had asthma at the time. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Normally in a case or any type of case, you know what the cause of death is at the time of the scene. You know, in this stage, they were in a struggle. They used force. They admitted to use force, but I think the investigation will have to complete. But I knew on the scene that the gentleman had asthma. I also knew that it was a bad air day. You know, I knew all those things that existed, but that doesn't mean, and as I said on Thursday, an autopsy had to be determined to determine what the cause of death was. Those were just, you know, findings from me that I think can all be contributory, but that's what we knew on Thursday. An autopsy wasn't done on Thursday.
Did any of your deputies suggest that they applied pressure to Mr. Robinson's neck?
And that investigation is going to continue, and that's why we need to go through their statements and continue with their statements.
And if you were Dr. Cvitanovich, can talk more about this traumatic injury to the neck. Does that insinuate from being a medical professional or a law enforcement professional that somebody did squeeze, grab, or lean on someone's neck? Is that how that traditionally is caused, traumatic injury to the neck?
Yeah, that's a reasonable conclusion of what you just said. Actually, I couldn't have said it better myself.
I mean, is there any indication from these detectives what led to this? I mean, obviously chasing him and was
they were in a fight.
No,
they were in a fight. I mean, they were in a narcotics, investigation. Narcotics was found. I mean, but the reality of it is they were in a fight with this gentleman affecting the rest. There's no doubt about that. Now, that determination has to be made of, our police officers have to use force and are justified in using force in many cases. But it depends on their use of force compared to, what was being done on the scene and what the findings of the science does. That's what we do in law enforcement, and that's what the investigation will determine.
Does the sheriff's office have a policy on the use of chokeholds?
Well, generally speaking, you're never gonna, and from a policy standpoint, we don't train somebody to hit someone with a brick. But if you're fighting for your life and the brick's there, you hit someone with a brick. The reality of it is those determinations will have to be made. But I'm not coming to the conclusion that this was a chokehold. I don't want a chokehold being there that this was the conclusion.
Are deputies forbidden from doing that?
They're not forbidden from doing that, but they're not trained obviously to do that on a normal basis. I mean, that's not a normal call.
Sure. I'm John Anderson with the Enough Community, represent Shrewsbury for Enough. And as a civil rights and economic justice activist, we've been experiencing deaths of our young people all across the country. Right now, we do know that this was a sting operation. So what we want to do is ask you guys to suspend any sting operations, and let's come with a new type of relationship of community policing with sting operations. Because what's happening is, because of the substance of mass destruction that the CIA has brought into this country, it's caused our community has been using these different things as an economic vehicle, and we've been targeted, put in the prison industrial complex. So to turn this around, we have to do something different. And of course, we do know there's elements of KKK prejudice in law enforcement and things of that nature. Our community is just asking. We're just asking that you suspend these sting operations and work with us to make this transparent, and not just here, but across the country, because this is causing a lot of deaths upon our children.
But Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office has an obligation to the citizens of Jefferson Parish. And we get complaints all day long from drug activity within Jefferson Parish itself. our operations have to continue. That's the reason that we live in the safer community that we do. Our operations will continue. These particular officers will be put on administrative duty, but we're not going to suspend operations because of one incident. We investigate. The reality of it is crime is an all-time low in Jefferson Parish, and I'm very proud of that. You know, somebody's family actually lost a life, and I'm very cognizant of that today. That doesn't mean our officers did anything wrong, or it may mean that they did something wrong. We have to have the ability to get to that conclusion and put that to a district attorney, let the district attorney make that decision. But to automatically suspend any type of operation based off of an outcome is inappropriate. And that's not something that would happen.
Don't you think it's inappropriate that disproportionate African Americans are being targeted for prison, this is prison industrial complex behind this substance?
Ms. Spiller.
Excuse me, I am Gaylor Spiller, as you know, Joe. I am the NAACP president. I am thus so far satisfied with the coroner's report and what you are doing. And I will not go away because you know that you and I have a good open communication. And I appreciate that. And I just want the world to know that we are here to support all sides. I just want the truth.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Spiller.
you.
In light of what's going on in the country right now, from Baton Rouge to Sacramento to Charleston, South Carolina, this is just a question that I guess has to be asked nowadays. The suspect is African American. You're not releasing the names of the officers, but can you release their race?
They are white. They are
All
white.
4 of them?
Yes.
But with the struggle they were doing, was it just kind of a fist fight struggle? Was he harmed at all? I mean,
I'm not going to comment on specifics from that standpoint. I mean, we've taken statements from all of them, but I think the appropriate authorities, when the investigators are looking at that, you obviously don't want to inhibit or hinder an investigation, depending on there may be other witnesses out there that have information to do it, and it's not appropriate to release that information now, and then other people would have access to information that would no longer exist.
Was he armed at all, though? Did he have any weapons?
He was, well, it's safe to say, he had a firearm in his vehicle. He did not have a firearm on him during the arrest.
Well, how big of a role does resisting arrest play in this investigation?
Absolutely, I think it's a big part of it, and that's what they have to end up giving their statements in regards to, and you know, the investigators and district attorney will make that decision at the end of the day. I mean, there's no doubt they used force. It's whether that force was excessive. I mean, that's what we're trying to come to the conclusion of.
Why was this breathing situation put out there in the general public, to the masses of the public, when they knew, the sheriffs knew at the time he was dead?
I have always cooperated with the media from our standpoint. I give you the information I know at the time, that I can release at the time. The reality of it is I said it that day, and I said it, you know, and I'll say it again today. That doesn't mean that it was completely accurate. It's what I knew that day. I knew an autopsy had to be done. I mean, I can easily stand on the scene and give no information and say, see y'all later. But the truth of it is I don't mind cooperating. I will have to stand in front of these cameras and give the information that I know. And that's what I did.
Well, to our community, it looked like a precursor to a cover-up based on his past health condition, knowing that we knew it was a strangle or something that was going on at the operation.
And you say that you knew that. I asked for anybody that knew that to please come forward with information.
Do any of the officers have any backgrounds of anything that jacked about force?
No, well, I'm not saying no, I don't know that information.
For Dr. Cvitanovich, how long does the rest of the investigation take to get all the T's crossed and I's dotted? When is that finalized on your end?
I think we're looking, I can safely say we're looking at weeks. You know, we've got microscopic slides of the lungs that we need to set and view. We have toxicology that has been sent off, and that can take anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks to come back. And then we have to get more investigation details of the mechanism of injuries that are described before we come up with our final report. So we're looking at weeks, not days.
Does something like this, Sheriff, prompt possibly body camera or the discussion for body cameras in Jefferson Parish?
We've been having a discussion of body cameras for years. You know, we are a very large police department that handles over 400,000 calls for service. And relatively speaking, we have very little use of force cases on Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. So we've looked at that. In this case, These are undercover narcotics agents. You know, they're not, I mean, I'm sorry, but our undercover narcotics agents would not have a body camera strapped to their chest on a general basis. I mean, so it wouldn't have changed the facts. I know people would ask for that, but that's just not the case when you're working in that capacity.
Coroner, I have a question. Are you able to determine when someone dies of asphyxia, how long it takes? Are they struggling? How does that happen?
I think it varies from case to case. Yeah, at this point, I don't think I know I'm not comfortable commenting, and I don't think that my pathologists at this point are either on giving a length of time or a pound of compression that would take. We're not prepared to discuss that at this point.
Did the family bring a doctor to the autopsy as well? And when we talked Friday, you were saying they had that option too.
Yeah, well, this is our policy. When there's an in-custody death, we actually, normally we would do the autopsy the next day. That's our standard operating procedure. But when there is a in-custody death, we usually put at least a 24-hour hold on doing anything until we contact the family, discuss with them what we're going to do, and offer them the option of having a physician present at the autopsy to witness the autopsy. The family was offered that, but declined.
Have you guys taken any steps regarding any possible protests today or reaction to the autopsy results? Have you all extra staffing, or what have you guys done to prepare for any unrest?
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I mean, the reality, I hope the citizens of Jefferson Parish give the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office the opportunity to conduct the investigation. This office has shown time and time again that, give us patience, we do our job. From security measures, I'm not gonna disclose any security measures that may or may not exist out there, just because I wouldn't do that in any situation. We don't have any known, I guess, protests or that we know about or scheduled, but we hope the community gives us the opportunity to do our job.
Excuse me, I have a question for the Colonel. Sir, we thank you very much for your report, but on behalf of the family, I would like to say the reason why they declined was because they're not familiar with this process, and they did not want to come and say anything without their attorney. That's the reason they declined.
That is their option to decline.
Right.
We were not fearful of another set of eyes in our autopsy room because
And
it
I don't
doesn't
question
change. A phrase that's used in my office a lot is, it is what it is.
Right.
So if somebody else comes in and sees what it is what it is.
And I don't question that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sheriff,
That concludes this morning's press briefing. Appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I understand.